Good evening, I'm Ebony Brandon. Today is Thursday, 4th January 2018. This is the SKN News Now Evening Edition. In the headlines tonight, nationally the search is on for a 15-year-old girl who went missing in December last year. Internationally, Mexico's presidential race has become more chaotic now that independents have joined. And in sport, the final stanza of the Digicel 4-day cricket season has begun. We've got the details of these stories, the weather, and a Carib update all ahead in the SKN News Now Evening Edition. Police and frantic family are finally turning to the public for help locating a teenager who went missing in December 2017. Police say 15-year-old Tanisha Keynes of Sadler's Village was last seen at the family home on December 27, 2017 at about 7 o'clock in the evening. She's believed to have run away from home. Tanisha was last known to be wearing a black pair of shorts with an orange t-shirt. She's 5 feet 3 inches tall, of medium build, and weighs 120 pounds. She's of fair complexion and has natural hair which is usually pulled into a ponytail. Persons with information about her whereabouts are urged to contact the Special Victim Units of the Bastia Police Station on 465-2241 or on mobile number 665-3091. Your nearest police station will also be able to take any information relevant to locating Tanisha Keynes. Officers Rogers and O'Dane, who are leading the investigation, can also be reached on 762-4230 and 665-5785 respectively. In other news, the new Premier of Nevis, Honourable Mark Brantley, has pledged his administration's full support to the efforts of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. The declaration came as the Premier made a case for the hard and dangerous work done by the police, which often goes unappreciated and under-recognised. Against this backdrop, Premier Brantley continued that without a strong police force to ensure the safety and security of the Federation's people, many other nation-building efforts will prove futile.
I think sometimes the police don't get the just due, because whenever something goes wrong, the public is very quick to criticize, very quick to condemn. One officer can do something that is untoward, and the entire force comes into condemnation. And especially now with social media, where everybody is a journalist, the least thing that happens, very rarely do people come to the defense of the police. So I can tell you as Premier, I will come to the defense of the police. And the Nevis Island administration will be there shoulder to shoulder with the police. Because I think we recognize and we understand and we accept that our development, and the development not only of Nevis but of St. Kitts and Nevis, depends in large measure on the security forces getting it right. If you don't get it right, it matters little. No other development, frankly, is possible, because security is a precondition for meaningful and lasting development. So it makes little sense for us to talk about the economy, talk about education, talk about healthcare, unless our people feel safe.
And while Mr. Brantley too recognized police efforts in tackling crime in the Federation, specifically on Nevis, he too admonished the officers to increase their efforts to drive the still high statistics even lower.
Last year, I marveled at the fact that the Nevis Division had a detection rate, I believe, of over 56%. And my fear has come to pass, because I said, how do you keep up that pace? How do you top what at the time was unprecedented? And I gather that you've fallen a bit short this time, Divisional Commander. You're back in the 40s, but still well above the international standard. And so I commend you for that. I commend the entire force for the reduction in homicides, but only to remind you that you've gone from 31 to 23, and that one is one too many. So that even though we have reduced it, it has to be an all-out effort as we continue to try to get that down. Because that, I believe, of all crimes, is the most heinous, and that of all crimes is the one that creates the most difficulty for our community. People now, I think, are most agitated by violent crime. And that is the category that has appeared over the years to be more stubborn in terms of how we deal with it.
Meanwhile, acknowledging that there is a deficiency in the police crime detection rate, Commissioner of Police Ian Quealy has indicated that the soon-to-be-announced 2018 police plan will include measures to improve the force's level of social involvement. Commissioner Quealy made mention of this on Wednesday while commending the officers stationed on NEWS for their community intervention efforts.
NEWS, in particular, have been doing a very good job at the community engagement. As the divisional commander explained, that the part of their theme was community engagement. We want you to continue, because we believe that the involvement of the community goes a very long way in assisting us to curb the crime situation that we have. And so it's from that perspective that we would want you to continue. You would realize also later this month, I'm hoping, that the new policing plan that we would be rolling out would have more, I believe, a concentrated effort on social intervention programs and community engagement. And if we can build back that trust with the community, we will go a long way in helping us to be where we want to be in terms of crime fighting.
The Commissioner's comment tied into an earlier acknowledgement during the NEWS leg of the police New Year service that while some gains had been made in 2017 in the police's crime-fighting efforts, particularly in respect of homicide, crime detection is still an area requiring improvement. And although St. Kitts and Nevis's crime rate and more specifically its homicide statistics may be trending downward, it's not been enough to prevent it being listed among the 10 most murderous countries in the world by Lifestyle magazine. In October last year, Lifestyle published an article in which St. Kitts and Nevis was ranked 9th among the top 10 countries in the world with the highest per capita murder rate. It was published in the article that the state has one of the highest homicide rates in the world. At least 33.6 people out of a possible 100,000 are murdered every year. The smallest state in the Americas is ranked 9th in terms of homicide rates. This means that out of 50,000 or so in the state, at least 17 are murdered every year. The other nations listed based on the rate of homicides per 100,000 of the population were Honduras with 90.4, 2 Venezuela 50, 3 Belize 45, 4 El Salvador 41.2, 5 Guatemala 40, 6 Jamaica 39.3, 7 Lesotho 38, 8 Swaziland 33.8, 9 St. Kitts and Nevis 33.6, and 10 South Africa 31. Supporting the Lifestyle article are United Nations figures, which lists St. Kitts and Nevis as having the third highest murder rate in the Caribbean, with 38 deaths per 100,000 behind Jamaica at 41 and the U.S. Virgin Islands at 39 in the year 2015. There were 18 homicides in 2012, 21 in 2013, 21 in 2014, 28 in 2015, 31 in 2016, and 23 in 2017. Former St. Kitts and Nevis Minister of Culture, Honourable Marcella Liebert, and Parliamentary Representative for West Bastère, Honourable Conris Maynard, have both extended congratulations to Carissa Willett on becoming the Federation's first female senior Calypso monarch in the 46-year history of the National Carnival, which began in 1971. She's also the first to have won the country's history, as no female has ever won a Calypso competition since the start of the Christmas festivities and Soul Carnival in the 1950s. Honourable Marcella Liebert, the only elected female member of the National Assembly, said she was particularly proud of Willett as she represented women across the nation well with 2 strong presentations. Liebert added that Willett also hit her female Calypsonian predecessors, including Ava Lawrence, Jacinth Henry Martin, Singing Jackie, Anastasia and Gloria Esdale Robinson proud by coming in ahead of her male counterparts in the competition. She also added that by rendering such an outstanding performance, Willett had also become an inspiration for junior female Calypsonians who will be encouraged by her outstanding and unprecedented achievement. Willett, who performs on stage as Miss Independent, secured the crown with a total of 766 points from her two songs, Where is the Leadership and It Tastes the Same, in her first entry into the senior calypso competition. Honorable Conris Maynard, who is a former junior, senior, and regional calypso monarch, also congratulated Willett, adding that he was anxious for next carnival when she will hopefully defend her crown. While this carnival was her first entry into the senior competition, Willett is no stranger to the stage. She made her first public appearance in 2008 with the song Colors, when she represented the Bastille High School in the 2008-2009 Junior Calypso competition, defeating Nevis' senior and junior king, the mighty Inspirer, and in so doing became the first female junior calypso monarch. She won her second junior calypso crown in 2009-2010. Willett was also first runner-up in the 2017 female calypso competition in November. That wraps up our national developments this evening. Stay with us, however. SKN News Now continues in just a moment with today's international developments. Mexicans head to the polls on the 1st of July to elect a new president, and it's already shaping up to be a historic race. It's the first time candidates can run without the backing of a party, meaning dozens of people are vying for the top job, but the winner will have to combat voter mistrust and apathy. David Mercer reports.
Mexico's presidential elections are heating up, led by leftist firebrand Andrés Manuel López Obrador. He ran in and lost the past two elections. Now López Obrador is riding a wave of public discontent to lead the pack of candidates.
We
have in our reach the possibility of ending corruption. We will stamp out corruption.
Ricardo Anaya from the center-right National Action Party calls himself the clean hands candidate, though he's sown division within his party. A sluggish economy could give former finance minister and pre-candidate Jose Antonio Meade a push. With the United States threatening to pull out of the North American Free Trade Agreement, Meade says he has the experience to find new export markets. And for the first time in Mexico's history, independent candidates have joined the race. But with surging violence and corruption scandals plaguing government officials, gaining public trust won't be easy.
I think all the candidates are interested in themselves and their political parties. I don't think any of them are in it for the people.
I don't trust any of the candidates. I only believe them when actual changes start to happen.
Analysts say that people must be engaged and hold candidates to account if they want this election to be different.
The political class loves it when society doesn't trust them. Then you separate yourself and leave the public space. What the government doesn't like is when social media is buzzing with discussion and debate.
Never before have Mexicans had such a variety of candidates to choose from.
And with the July 1st election quickly approaching, many people here are asking what impact a younger, more educated, and more politicized generation of voters could have on the country's future.
A class action lawsuit brought on behalf of Canadian military veterans has been put on hold. The former soldiers say they were required to take an anti-malarial drug with serious side effects, including brain damage. They blame the Canadian government for a lack of support. Daniel Lack has the details.
In 1993, Canadian soldiers deployed to Somalia tortured and murdered a 16-year-old Somali boy. After a court-martial, several were jailed. An entire regiment was disbanded in disgrace. Now it's emerged that the Canadian military was giving its soldiers mefloquine, and many may have been experiencing its now well-documented neuropsychiatric side effects.
How many more families got to stand here on these steps and tell you what mefloquine actually does to your family? Soldiers are suffering from mefloquine. It is not always PTSD. Stop using this drug. Burn the recipe.
Marge Matchie and veterans of many Canadian overseas deployments have gathered outside Parliament, calling for more support for those who suffered from mefloquine use. Organizer Dave Bona, who was in Somalia in 1992, says the drug continues to take a horrendous toll.
We're losing about a veteran a week is coming through our Facebook feeds that have committed suicide. So it's still happening.
Lionel Desmond, a veteran of Canada's mission to Afghanistan, killed his mother, wife and daughter before committing suicide. He'd been diagnosed with PTSD, but his family has now found out that he'd been taking mefloquine. His sisters told the Ottawa rally it was time for action.
This is why we're here today, to continue this fight, not only for an inquiry into my brother's death, but to also make sure that that little white pill called mefloquine is kicked to the curb, and we know change is going to occur, and we won't have to sit here and worry about anybody falling back in the cracks no more.
As of last June, Canada no longer requires its troops overseas to take mefloquine. But unlike the US, Australia and Germany, it hasn't banned the drug entirely from use by the military. International campaigners want Canada to look seriously at the role of mefloquine in problems experienced by Canadian soldiers overseas.
I suspect that part of the reason the Canadian military and the Canadian government are reluctant to be too critical of mefloquine, even when other countries have all but abandoned it, is because this would force the Canadian government to come to terms with some very unpleasant moments in its history.
While the Canadian government is finally taking some steps to deal with this dangerous anti-malarial, these veterans who've come here today and the thousands who support them say there's much more that needs to be done.
Still to come in SKN and News Now this evening, sport, the weather and Carib update. And in sport this evening, runaway leaders and reigning three-time champions Guyana Jaguars will be looking to start the new year and the final leg of the race toward the Headley Weeks Trophy as the Digicel 4-Day Championship resumed today following the break for the end-of-year holidays. All three matches on the schedule for the 8th round of matches hold significance for the teams as the Jaguars look to continue their unbeaten run for the season. The Jaguars were one of the three teams that collected wins in the previous round, and this has allowed them to open up a sizable, if not insurmountable, lead over the rest of the teams in the championship. The aim for them in the final three matches will be to consolidate their position at the top of the table with solid, if not spectacular play, which will let them ride the crest of the wave to the title. This is the feature match of this round, and the return of key personnel from the West Indies duties in New Zealand will add some spice to the attraction. Jaguars landed a comprehensive victory when the two sides met in the first round of the season last October and will be aiming to complete the season sweep. Scorpions, however, will fancy their changes with the return of inspirational leader and champion left-arm spinner Nikita Miller from West Indies one-day international duty, along with Jermaine Blackwood from West Indies Test duty and West Indies A-team batsman Andrew McCarthy from injury to boost their lineup. West Indies Test left-handed all-rounder Raymond Reifer adds to Jaguars' depth chart along with fast bowler Keon Joseph, who was a late withdrawal from the previous match with an injury. Jaguars have lost none of their previous 7 contests against the Scorpions in the Professional Cricket League era, and they will be hoping that trend continues over the next 4 days. Buoyed by encouraging results in their 2 previous matches, Pride and Volcanoes hope they can regain the momentum and finish the season strongly, if not successfully. Pride have clawed their way into second place in the standings behind the Jaguars thanks to a confluence of results including a draw and a victory in their last 2 encounters. At the same time, Volcanoes played to an historic tie against Jaguars and earned their first victory of the season. Pride still hold out hope that they could sneak through to grab the title if other results fall their way, and will be looking to complete the season sweep. And Volcanoes will look to continue giving proof of what could have been if their preparations for the season had not been hampered by the hurricane that ravaged their base last year in Dominica. Pride has been boosted by the return of the West Indies duo of batsman Roston Chase and fast bowler Kamar Roach, but Volcanoes have not been so blessed, although batsman Kaveem Hodge returns from injury and will be hoping to pick up from the solid start made to the season. Pride will have their hands full trying to put a lid on veteran Volcano's left-handed opener Devon Smith. He has been to the toast of the batsman this season and requires a further 196 to become the leading single-season scorer in the history of the West Indies First-Class Championship. The match also marks the 100th West Indies First-Class Championship appearance for Volcano's champion off-spinner Shane Shillingford. He also needs just 4 wickets to reach the 450 mark. Both Red Force and Hurricanes started the season with promise, but they failed to find the results to keep them in contention for the title. The return of Kyle Hope from West Indies duty, Yannick Correa from injury, and the introduction of Stephen Kadwaru for the first time this season could help turn things around for Red Force. Hurricanes batting has been booted with the return of Kieran Powell from West Indies duty and Casey Carty from injury, and the importation of Barbadian opener Rashidi Bausha. Although the loss of Rakeem Cornwall and veteran fast bowler Gavin Tongue will weaken the bowling, the addition of another Barbadian off-spinner, Shane Holder, could help them overcome. Red Force will be looking to complete the season sweep, but 3 times the teams have met in Trinidad has produced a win for each and no result last year. That wraps up our sport presentation. Now for a look at this evening's weather forecast. Across St. Kitts and Nevis tonight, we can expect cloudy conditions with a high chance of showers. Seas are moderate with waves of 1.5 to 2.1 meters or 5 to 7 feet. Sea bathers should continue to exercise caution against breaking swells, particularly on the east and northeast coasts of the island. Winds are east-southeasterly to southeasterly at 8 to 17 miles per hour. The sea level pressure is 1,016.1 millibars or 30 inches. The sun will rise tomorrow at 6:41 a.m. And that concludes this evening's news presentation. Before we go, however, a recap of this evening's top stories. Nationally, the search is on for a 15-year-old girl who went missing in December 2017. Internationally, Mexico's presidential race has become chaotic now that independents have joined. And in sport, the final stanza of the digital 4-day cricket season has begun. I've been your presenter this evening, Ebony Brandon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned, still to come, Carib Update, followed by DJ Yardi.